Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ash. This last week, I got invited to speak at a network marketing event all about how to have communication skills and better confidence throughout the whole sales cycle. So everything from lead generation all the way through to closing the deal. And this is exactly what I've recorded here for you guys, this whole webinar. So check it out. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you like it, of course, make sure to like, subscribe, and even share it with a friend that you think this will be helpful for. And if you have any other questions, leave it in the comments and I will be checking all of them. Hope you enjoy. Finally, I'm going to talk about communication skills and confidence and how to set the right targets for effectively re-engineering the maths. And the reason I want to talk about it like that is because, when you guys are treating this as a business, I know some of you are probably doing it as a side business, some of you are doing it as a main business, and ultimately you have to still treat it as a business, right? And if you know any kind of companies, they all run with numbers. So why should we be any different? So it's like, how do we care about the numbers in a smart way so we don't get lost in the details, but also make it really easy for us to manage our workload and see where we need to be putting most of our efforts in. I think a lot of people, when they start talking to people, they have a lot of anxiety around, like, oh my God, what am I going to say? What if they don't like me? What if they're going to judge me badly? What if they're, just going to say no and walk away? Or how do I come across? But all that anxiety really, in my opinion, comes from the fact that you're already going in saying, you know what, like, I want to make this person my customer, right? Like, this person looks like they might be someone who's interested in buying from me. But what if you change that thinking and that first interaction is just to get that person interested enough to continue talking to you? Wouldn't that change the whole game? The anxiety goes away. You're like, oh, all I'm trying to do is get this person to talk to me. That's it. Right? If you think about it, that little, like, one step at a time, once you start talking to them, that's it, right? Like, you're in the conversation. I'm sure all of you are very good conversationalists, and that's why you're in this model of the business. But that part becomes easy. But if you think about it like a sale, it suddenly becomes hard. Who here likes selling? Who likes selling? I don't like to be like a salesperson is what I hear a lot as well. People are like, I don't want to do sales. I'm not confident. Yeah. So all those reasons. So that makes sense. What if we thought about sales slightly differently? You love sales, but hate the thought of making sales. Yeah.
Making sales.
Makes sense, right? But I want to rethink or reshift your thinking a little bit. People don't like sales because they're like, oh, I'm selling a product to someone, right? Like, oh, I'm going to ask them for money. Don't want to know for an answer. Yeah, right? Exactly. You don't want to know for an answer. We're going to cover that in a little bit more detail in a bit. But what if you think about it this way? Okay, so let's say your tooth hurts, right? And you go to the dentist. The dentist then does a service, they ask you to pay. Did the dentist sell to you? Of course, right? The dentist did sell, but we think no, because the dentist did us a service. Of course, we're going to pay for the dentist because they did us a service. Now, let's think about it this way. Like, you guys are in skincare. There was a men's fashion thing that we saw a little bit earlier. They have the creams. For women, they have all this makeup, the micellar water, all that stuff. So we think about that as sales because we don't think about it as a need that the customer has. But what if you were in a situation where, you had skin rashes and you needed the cream to make you feel better and you had the cream to give them? You're then doing them a service, right? So just like a dentist, you're solving a problem, you're doing a service, and so you're going to get paid for that. You see what I mean? So if you shift your thinking to, oh, you know what? You're solving a problem. And the simple thing to think about is that no products would have been created if it wasn't solving a problem. Like micellar water, like taking the scar off and stuff like that. It exists because that was a problem. So you selling these products are really just solving the problems the customer has. The challenge is finding which customer has this problem enough to buy a product to solve it. Right? If you think about it like that, selling no longer becomes, oh, I don't want to hear a no for an answer. I don't want to, I'm not confident about selling and all that stuff. Instead, if you think about it, I'm just doing a service. I'm just trying to find out who to serve this to. Like, you're just like a billboard of a dentist clinic where they have like, hey, come to the dentist clinic if you have a toothache. Hundreds of people will drive past this billboard and they won't have a toothache and they won't do anything. But 10 people who drive past it, like, oh my God, I have toothache right now. I need to go to the dentist. and the dentist makes loads of money. So let's break down the maths. This is a really simple thing that I want to give you guys, okay? Think about how much money do you want to make at the end of the month? It could be anything. It could be 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 2,000, 10,000, whatever you want. Whatever the number you want is. Write that down. And then take the average of the product value that you're selling. What you think you can sell. So I know that, Adura just showed like 5 different products here today. And I saw a range of them going from like 25 pounds all the way to 60 pounds. So for this example, I'm going to say, why don't you use 50 pounds as an average? Okay. Let's say you were just selling that one product, the 50-pound product. That's it. The whole month, that's all you were doing. But you want to make 2,000 pounds at the end of this month, in this example. You would have to sell 40 products, right? 40 of those 50-pound products in order to make 2,000 pounds. That could be 40 unique individuals or just 40 products where some people buy multiples. But let's make our maths easy, right? So what if it was just 40 unique products? That means just 40 individuals, right? 40 people need to buy your product in order for you to make 2,000 pounds. Great. But how many people do you need to then speak to or have your consultations with for them to buy 40 or for 40 of those to buy from you? Hey, that's what you got to think about. So the business would think like that. Oh, cool. Well, I don't know. Like, how many of you here know your closing rate? How many knows, like, off the back of their hand, like, oh, this is how many people I close. If I speak to 100 people, I will have this many deals. Yeah, most people wouldn't know that, right? And that's fine. It's not a bad thing, but a company would look at those numbers regularly to know, okay, cool. Like, actually, if my salespeople speak to 100 people in 1 month or whatever in the time frame, they will have a closing rate of 60%, let's say. It's a really high closing rate, by the way. In industry averages, it's not really 60%. For product-based businesses, the industry average is about 20% close rate. So if you think about 20%, that's 20 people. If you speak to 100 people, 20 of them will buy from you. It does, like, product, like, price range doesn't really matter that much. So for you, I want you to think about it like that. Okay, well, how many people do I need to speak to in order to sell 40 of my products? Yeah. So let's say if you take the 20% average, you would need to speak to 200 people, right, in order to get 40 sales. Am I making sense so far? Yeah. Good. I see some of you nodding. Yeah. I see some of you like getting a little bit shocked as well. Like, oh my God, I need to speak to 200 people. How am I going to do that? Right. But think about it this way. Okay, 200 people in a whole month. This is the beauty of thinking about lead generation in this way, because now you stop thinking small, right? Now you stop thinking, okay, I'm going to speak to one person at a time. Like, I'm going to go and speak to this one person on the street. If they say no, I'm going to speak to the next person on the street. If they say no, I'm going to speak to the next person. You start thinking bigger. You're like, okay, great. How can I accumulate more people in one space? Adura was talking about how there's events that you guys should go to. I know these are like learning events where you can learn a lot of things from, but what about other events that are happening around your neighborhood? The Jubilees having loads of street parties, fairs, and stuff like that happening all the time. There's hundreds of people sitting around. There's like local community fairs where there are stalls. And I saw, like, in my local neighborhood, there was like areas where a week ago they were advertising stalls for £10 for the whole day. You could have a stall there. How many of us could spend £10 to talk to 200 people and make 40 sales to get £2,000 in one day? Right? Like, you think about it like that. It's just simple maths, but if you work at it, go, oh my God, actually talking to 200 people is no longer that difficult. I just have to find an event that has more than 200 people and I can just speak to them. But what about if you think even bigger? What if you host your own event? Right? And then all you have to do is get people to come to that event. You can think about how to do that, but that can be the next step you work on, right? Like, you first go to events and then next you host your own event where you're like, whoa, I've just gathered 200, 300 people and there we go. Now you can make your sales and you made your £2,000. You can just chill the rest of the month. Right? So you think about lead generation that way, okay? So there's a few key metrics that you guys definitely need to think about. And I know it feels like admin, like, oh, numbers, like, I don't like numbers. I didn't get into this for numbers. But I guarantee you, if you care about the numbers at the start of the month, you will love the numbers you see in the bank at the end of the month. And I would recommend you kind of pick 1 or 2 products that will be your main selling point. Hear this carefully. This is a big distinction. It's not the only thing you're selling, but it's the only things you'll focus on selling. The reason being, this is the next part of it. It's all about communication, right? When you're talking about lead generation, the next part is prospecting, and that prospecting is when you develop the relationship with the individuals. And the reason this is so important is because if you try to sell everything to everyone, you'll be selling nothing to anyone. And this is a really important point, because think about it. There's men's products, there's women's jacket, there's mascara, there's all these different things you guys have. But if you think, okay, cool, I'm going to target everyone, how do you know where to stand? Let's say you were in a mall. How do you know where to stand? Do you want to stand in front of the men's area in Boots? Or do you want to stand in front of a boutique perfume shop that's on the side to attract the right customers? It makes a big difference, right? And here's the reason the distinction is important. If you focus on these two products, a lot of you will be thinking, oh my God, but I'm going to miss out on so much value. What if somebody wants the men's thing? I've just missed out on this men's product. But how many of you would agree, if there's a woman who's walking past a perfume store in a mall, that she might have a partner or she might have a male friend? How many of you that agree that exists, right? They might have that. So once you start talking to that lady about the product that you have focused on, the product that you know everything about, you've got her interest, right? Remember what I said in the beginning. Your first job is to just get their interest, to talk to them. Once you start talking, then you start extracting the problems they're facing. Like, saying, oh, well, there's Father's Day. Oh, but I don't have, like, it's not my dad. Okay, well, you can get your dad a present. Oh, but what about your kids? Have they got the present from their dad? Or why don't you buy one from their dad, or from the kid to the dad? Oh, no, your friend. What about your friend? Your friend's a dad. Like, has that person got it? Your friend has a dad. What about that? Right? Your cousin has a dad. Like, you think about it like that. You start talking to them about the problems that they want. Then you can sell them more than just that one thing you entered with. But you start with that one single entrance, just makes your entrance so repeatable, right? You're like, great, this is exactly my entrance. I have two products that I enter with. I know exactly the people that I want to talk to because of that entrance. Now I just speak to them all the time. If they buy your entrance product, boom, you've made a sale. But while they're talking to you and you want to make more of a sale, you can just expand that process, right? Okay, do you have kids? Oh, I've got this bag for kids. Do you know that? Oh, you got a mom? I've got this other thing for moms. I've got this thing for a dad. Like, you can then explore your product range. Like, again, using the dentist example, right? Let's say you go in because your tooth's hurting. How many of you have gone into the dentist and they're like, okay, cool, I've done this. Oh, do you want a scale and polish? Right? How many of you want teeth whitening? You're already here. Like, you've entered because your tooth was hurting, but because you're there, they've sold you a scale and polish, they've sold you an x-ray. Yeah, they probably already also sold you on a root canal that you're going in 3 months' time. And like, before you know it, this £40 consultation fee has become £2,000 spending, and you don't know how. To your friends, and you're saying you're talking to 5 people a day. Of those people who don't respond or who say no, how many of you still follow up with them?
So what I do is, I do promise myself I'll follow up with them, but for some reason, I don't know, I just forget.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the same for a lot of people as well. But the money's in the follow-up, right? They already know you. If they didn't buy from you then, they just didn't buy from you because they didn't have the problem you wanted to solve. Their tooth wasn't hurting. But when their tooth hurts, what are they going to do? They want a dentist. Are they going to go find a new dentist, or are they going to go to a dentist they already know and spoke to last week? So important. You can get a no 5 to 7 times. You can annoy them. But you know what the beauty thing is? Like, you've already annoyed them in the first place. Like, if they're not going to buy from you, they're not going to buy from you. But by the time you get your no's, like 5 times later, you might get a yes. So you're losing nothing from going for it. And the reason it's 5 to 7 times is because there's all these studies that talk about sales. And it's like, okay, well, a lot of people give up after the third no. It's something like 85% of salespeople give up after the third no, right? And another like 90% in total give up after the fourth no, 95 after the fifth no, and then 98 or 99% after the sixth no. But the seventh no is usually a yes, is what this whole thing serves about. So the 1 to 2% who actually go for the seventh no have had extremely high success. So for example, you've seen, you're probably scrolling on Instagram, Facebook, all these things, right? How many times do you see the same damn advert over and over and over again? Why? You've already seen the advert and ignored it, but why has the algorithm showed you that again? Because your opinion might have changed. You've had another touch point. Their name is getting stuck in your head. So you got to think about the same thing. You are advertising, marketing your thing, right? You got to go for the no. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But so follow up, super, super important. Okay, consultations have been booked. How many of you know the percentage of people who show up for the consults? Do people here have high consultation show ups or low consultation show ups? What do we think?
Low.
Up for high, low for low. Okay, low. We think low. So let's say you've spoken to someone today. When is the consultation happening? When do you book the consultation for? Typically.
When they're free.
When they're free?
Yes.
Let's say I'm walking down, right? Okay, I'm walking around. You've stopped me and I'm interested in what you're saying. And you say, okay, great. I want to book you in for a consultation. When are you free? What am I likely to say? What do you likely hear most of the time?
I'm always busy.
Yeah. Who here is free? No hands? Who here is busy? Yeah, everyone, right? Like, oh, I've got this happening. My sister's birthday. My sister's boyfriend is doing this. Like, I'm doing that. I'm doing this, whatever. Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. But guess what? They were free right then and there when they're walking somewhere. So you gotta tell them when they're free, right? There's two things in consultations. Why should someone spend their time to going to a consultation with you? And nowadays everybody knows a consultation is for a sale. So they're just avoiding the sale, right? They're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so busy. I don't have time for a free consultation. Why? Because they know they're going to be sold to. So what's the incentive? Do you guys give them an incentive right now for why they should go to a free consultation?
Yes.
What is it? What's the incentive?
Free products, free samples, free facials, free advice, skin advice.
Yeah. But
discounts.
But did you already give them free samples while they're there talking to you?
Yes, sometimes, yes.
Right. So now why should they make another time to come to a thing to try another thing for free? So you got to tell them, you got to make the consultations more appealing. And another thing is you tell them, there's two things to say here, right? One is, why can't you just set the appointment for the next day? Right? For a consultation, is it a phone call? Is it a Zoom call? Or what is it? Is it an in-person meeting? How do you do it?
Zoom calls.
Right. So it's a Zoom call. So they can do it anytime. But here's the other challenge that I have for you guys. Why not sell them right then and there? The reason I ask that is they've stopped for you. You've got their attention. You've got the products. You've got the free stuff. You can give them the discount. Right then and there, they're ready. Why not sell?
Some of them might not be convinced. They would want to try the products first.
Yeah, that's a great point. So now you can go into the consultation. You've already gone for the sale. They told you no. You got your first out of the 7 no's. Now you say, great. Oh, what's the problem? Now we're going into the closing segment, right? Like closing the deal. And I see this so many times. People actually don't even close the deal. I went into, so literally yesterday, or no, day before yesterday, I went into a shop. In Waterloo, they're doing this whole new hot chocolate experience thing, right? So I went into the shop. They had some free samples. I went in for the free samples. Right? How many of you know that people come in for the free sample? Right? You have a free sample sticker. People come in. So I went in. I was like, okay, great. I'm here. I'm trying this drink. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I look at the hot chocolate. It was like 34 pounds. So I'm thinking, 34 pounds quite expensive. Someone comes to talk to me. I talk to them, and I'm like, hey, this hot chocolate is really good. They tell me about the product. They're like, wow, it's made from this and made from that. This is a new thing we're trialing out. The feedback that I've got is amazing. This is great. I'm like, okay, great. What flavors do you have? Now I'm bought in. In my mind, I'm bought in. I'm like, wow, this is cool. Very comparable experience because you guys probably do a very similar thing just with skincare. So I've gone in, I'm trying, the person's talking to me, they've sold me on how good the product is and why it's so different from everything else. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Like, I never thought about hot chocolate like that. Yeah, actually, yeah, I could see myself, sitting down when it's really rainy outside, taking this hot chocolate and feeling how good it is. And then the lady just finished there and said, yeah, if you want to check us out, here's a card for a 10% discount. And I said, okay, thanks, I will definitely check you out. And I left. And guess what I did? Carried on my day, forgot that I even had the card, didn't buy it. But if the lady just then and said, yeah, this is really good, do you want to buy? Here's a 10% discount. If you buy right now, I'll give it to you. Right? Then I might have said, yeah, or I'm not convinced. But the great thing is, now she would have known why I'm not convinced. Now she can go into the closing pattern of thinking, okay, what do I need to do to convince this person? Then she can ask me, why? What's stopping you? Is the 10% discount not enough? Is it the price? It always comes down to a few things, right? The price, I don't trust you. I don't think the product is going to deliver the value it says it will. That's just the three things. That's all it is. And usually when they say it's the price, it's something else. it's almost never the price. Sometimes it's the price, like they don't have the money. But for you guys, what you're selling, people probably have 50 quid. That day that they are telling you no to spend 50 quid, are they're gonna go out onto a pub and spend 12 pounds on one drink and probably have 10 of those. Right? And when they get more of those, they're buying shots for their friends. Before they know it, they're 300 pounds down. So how does the same person who didn't have 25 pounds to spend with you have that to spend it like the same day? So you think about it that way, right? So it's always better to get a no, because then you can ask them why. Why are you not convinced? And this is the part that a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm not confident enough to do that. Like, oh, I can't ask them and then continue to try to sell to them, because that's where it feels really pushy, car salesman-y type thing. But what if you think about it, like you're trying to solve a problem? You're just trying to understand what the problem is. Hey, you told me you have this problem, that your skin has this rash. Now you have this skin type that's really difficult to find solutions to. I told you I have the solution for you. What? And I even told you have a 10% discount. What's the problem? Oh, I don't know. Like, I already buy too many makeup products. My husband moans at me for it. Like, that then you understand what's going on. Then you can move into that kind of cycle of saying, okay, well, then you go into like objection handling of saying, okay, well, if this is the problem, why don't you think about it this way? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But that's easy, right? Because you already know the problems. And you remember in the beginning, I told you if you pick one or two products, you find the exact people, you understand who to sell to, you're just talking to those people. And usually you know those people because you are probably like those people. So that makes it really easy for you to talk about. You're like, oh, you know what? My husband complains about how many products I have too, but guess what? I only have so many products because I couldn't find the right one. Once you find the right one, you never have to buy those other ones again. Right? Your husband will never moan at you, buy this product, and you don't have a problem anymore. How many of you think that might convince somebody? You're like, oh, fine, go on then. I'll buy it. Right? That's what you want. If they still continue to say no, great. Look, I understand you probably want to try the product. Okay? So why don't we schedule a time for you, literally tomorrow? Are you free tomorrow? Like, yeah, get some time tomorrow. Right? You kind of tell them when they're supposed to be free. Like, if you're a lot of you in a job, like, your manager comes to you to get a meeting, they're not like, hey, when are you free? You'd be like, yeah, next month. Right? The manager's like, yo, are you free today? But what they're really saying is, you are free today. Make some time today. So that's what you got to do. Like, okay, cool. I'll give you some free products to try on right now. Go for it. Or, okay, I don't have the products right now. Why don't you come visit me at X place tomorrow at 12 p.m. and I'll be there. And then I can show you. And we can talk about it more. If you have any questions, I can answer it to you then. Let's finish up by talking about the confidence side of things, right? And communication side. Because I know a lot of people will say, oh, but, I don't have the confidence to talk to this and communication skills for talking to people about all of these things. It's easier said than done. But I want you to think about two things, okay? First, think about the fact that you are trying to identify whether the people have a pain that you can solve. Okay, you're just a dentist. You're just trying to find who has a toothache. Right? And then once they have a toothache, you're going to give them the scale and polish and this teeth whitening as well. That's just how you want to think about it. And that's going to make such a big difference. And really, the same confidence thing is also stopping you guys from going to these events that Adura was talking about, because you might be thinking, well, I don't think it's going to be good. What am I going to learn from it? Also, so many other people are going to be doing much better than I am, so I don't want to be put in a position where I feel worse. But you wouldn't feel worse if actually you think about it as a learning experience and an opportunity to make contacts who can give you money, right? You can get sales through other contacts, right? How many of you have partnerships here with each other, with companies? How many of you have partnerships? Because you see all these boutique firms, right? All these boutique shops that are there in malls that are selling different products. They're always looking for tried and tested products, so why not go and pitch with them? Hey, can you sell some of my things here? It may be possible. You just got to go and find out. But a lot of people fear them saying no, so they never even try. But a lot of them are independently owned, and they're looking for good products to sell. They already have customers, they have the foot traffic, they have the marketing. All you have to do is go and partner with them. And especially the benefit for you guys is the product already has its own brand, has its customers. The product itself, your company would have already given you all the testimonials, case studies, everything you need to sell it. So you just go to these people, you're like, hey, cool, can you do this? Let's test it out for a month, and then we'll do a profit share model. They're like, okay, cool. So you might get less money, but it's less effort. You don't do anything and you'll get money at the end of the month. You do this work one time, and then if they like it, if there's more customers, they just keep selling it and you just keep making money. That's a simpler way of doing it. But coming back to the confidence side of things, you think about how, okay, great, I have a fear of people saying no. This is a very common fear, by the way. In sales, most people fear this. And I read this book called Go for No, which literally changed how I thought about sales. When I was starting my own business as a performance coach, I was the same thing. I'm like, oh God, how am I going to say anything? I was a fitness instructor, not in person, but I was doing online coaching, fitness and nutrition. And that's when my first business started. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to, how can I get people to say yes to me? It's so much money. Do people have that? All these other questions. And then when I said no, you feel bad, right? Oh, somebody said no to me. You get 5 no's and you're like, oh man, today was such a shit day. I just got no's. I didn't get any sales. You just think about it like that. And suddenly you feel really down and you're no longer able to be the best version of you. Your confidence is just much worse. So how do you change that? And this model is literally going to change the way you think. That's you, Natalie. Yeah, I know. That's so many of us. And this is going to change how you think, okay? Normally, this is what we think. Here's us in the middle, okay? I'm going to try and do the opposite way for you guys so you can see. So this is us. Here's success, right? Success is over here. If you get to this end of the screen, you have success. But if you get to this end of the screen, here's failure. We're in the middle. And we're always teetering between the two sides, right? Every good sale, success. Every bad sale, failure. Every no, failure. Every feel bad, failure. Ultimately, 2-3 months later, we're more towards failure than we are towards success. And what that does is gives us less confidence to go out and try new things, less confidence to go to events and put ourselves out there. And we're always just feeling like we're failing and we're always catching up. And we're like, oh, you know what? This business model didn't work for me. But what if you think about it this way instead? Instead of it being a battle between success and failure, this is the truth as well, right? This is how life actually works too. Here's us in this corner. Here is success still in this corner. But failure is the road, right? Because every time you get a no, you're learning why somebody's saying no. Every time you feel bad that you didn't get a sale that day, you've gotten one step closer to the success because the next day you know more. You understand why that didn't work. You're constantly evaluating yourself. So more no's you get, the closer you are to the yes. And guess what? The more no's you try to chase, the more people you speak to. And it goes back to the first thing I talked about, which is how you get those 200 people to get your 40 sales. Right? You keep chasing the no's. You guys are fearing the no. I say chase the no. And I started putting this in place for myself when I was doing the fitness instructing business. And bam, that changed everything. Because I was like, okay, I'm so afraid of no. Because I'm just when you're kids, we just fear no, right? We just fear rejection because, oh my God, your parents shout at you if you do something bad. If you don't eat all your beans, you get shouted at. So all these things, you just feel like hearing no is a bad thing. Can I go out? No. Can I buy this? No. Right? And you're like, oh, okay, so no equals bad. But now in sales, no equals good, because no means learning. Yes means you learn nothing. Like somebody could have said yes straight away to your product because they have the problem. Somebody could have said yes because, they already have a cousin. Somebody could have just said yes that somebody else is using it. They already bought it before. They have the money, whatever. You never know why they said yes. But if they say no, you can ask them why and you learn from it. And that's how you become better. So when I changed this thinking, it changed everything. Collect the no's. Then let's say you're collecting 5 no's, but one of them was a yes. You almost like don't care about that. Oh my God, my target was 10 no's this week. I needed to get 10 no's. Okay, you keep speaking to people to get 10 no's. If you get 3 yeses in the middle, you don't even care. But those yeses are making you money, right? Let's say you got 5 yeses out of the 10 people you've spoken to. You still need to get 5 more no's to hit your target. So you've now suddenly spoken to 15 people. And out of 15 people, same again, 20% conversion rate, you've got 1 or 2 sales. So it's just like that. So I would say, stop fearing the no and instead use that as fuel to get you confidence. Think just, okay, one more no closer to the yes. Right? And then you don't need to worry about what to say. How do I interrupt somebody and say things? Normally people, and this is a really important tip as well. So a lot of people just say, okay, let's say you're walking down the street and there's charity people, right? They want to do charity things. And they're like, they come to you with a notepad and they're like, hi, do you have a minute? And people's like, right, they just put their earphones on and keep walking. Or somebody else is there, they want to like give you a flyer. Like, hey, do you have a second? Give you a flyer, you're like, oh, no, thank you. So people are just used to being advertised like that. So you got to approach it differently. So if you're going to do like in-person type things, you got to go with a free sample or something that interrupts their pattern, right? You're like, hey, I just want to try this. Or you never want to ask them, hey, do you have a second? Because nobody ever has a second. Right? You never want to ask them. You want to just tell them. Right? So, hey, here's a free sample. Or, hey, here's a discount thing for you. And they're like, okay. Or, they're just like, hey, what skin type are you? And they're like, what? What are you talking about? And now you have their attention, right? You've interrupted the pattern. And now you can be like, oh yeah, we're just doing a survey about the skin type that people have because we've developed a new product and we want to see if this area is a good fit for that. It's all true. That's exactly what you're doing. You're trying to find out whether you should be standing in that area or not. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, let me tell you. Now you got their attention. And now you're like, okay, well, if this is a skin type, okay, give me your application, your phone number, blah, blah, let me get in touch with you. And then you go through your process of how you generate leads. You see what I mean? So don't just go with the, hey, this is my name, this is my company, here's what I'm trying to do, because that just seems like you're trying to sell to them, but you just want to interrupt their pattern instead. If you stayed all the way to the end, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, because if you want to see more content like this, all about how to become a high performer with better communication skills and a lot more confidence to boss up your life, this is the channel for you. I hope you like this one. I'll see you in the next video.